My name is Mabatlare Penelope and I'm a first year medical student at Wits University. Welcome to Selileko's YouTube channel. Selileko asked me to make this video answering a few questions that she gave me to serve as motivation and encouragement for people who want to pursue a career in medicine. And well, without wasting any time, let's get to the questions. First question was, which high school did you go to? Well, I come from the Limpopo province in Sekhukhune. So, of course, I did my matric last year, 2020, in the Sekhukhune South District at Randwen Secondary School in the Limpopo province. Okay, the next question was about my matric results. I achieved 7 distinctions with 90% as my lowest mark in my matric final examination, and I got my statement of results here. I'm not sure if it's visible, but I'll just read the results out loud for you. So for Sepedi home language, I got a 90%, which is a level 7. English first additional language, a 91%, which is a level 7. Mathematics, I got a 90%, which is a level 7. Life orientation, a 98%, which is also a level 7. Accounting, 96% level 7. Life sciences, 90% level 7. Physical sciences, a 96%, which is also a level 7. And I got an average of 93%. Okay, how did you study to achieve such marks? What material did you use, and was there any additional help? Let me start by talking about my study strategy. Before anything else, my study strategy. This is a strategy that I used in high school. From grade 8, I've been using this strategy and it worked for me and it gained me distinctions, trust me. So there are a lot of study strategies. Strategies include using flashcards for active recall, meaning to memorize, using mind maps to do your notes. You study by teaching someone, you study by singing out your notes, and there are a lot of study strategies. So what I did to study, I turned my notes into questions. So every time I study, I would open the textbook and then while I'm studying, I would write down questions. So I would turn my notes into questions. Study, turn whatever that I'm studying into questions. And then after a while, when I see that, okay, now I might be getting what I'm studying, I'll close the book and then try answering those questions to track my understanding. That's what I've been doing my whole of high school. I've tried flashcards, they didn't work for me. I've tried a lot of study strategies, they didn't work for me. Hence, I stick to this study strategy. Even in matric, I used it to study for my final examinations. And unfortunately, this study strategy actually works for theory-based subjects because I can't turn maths into questions, obviously. I can't turn mathematics into questions. So it worked for theory-based subjects such as life science and life orientation. It can also work for geography, agriculture, economics, and many more theory-based subjects that are out there. So physics, obviously chemistry is also theory, so I use this study strategy for chemistry too. So for other subjects such as accounting, mathematics, and physics, I used past papers. I repeat, past papers. The key to passing matric is past papers. I passed my matric with distinctions because of past papers. I don't know where I would be if there were no past papers. So I advise every matriculant out there to get past papers, to treat past papers. So getting a past paper actually gives you an insight of what to expect in the exam room, because the structure of the question paper never changes. Question 1 will always be multiple choice. Chemistry, question 2 will always be organic chemistry. It never changes. Hence, I advise you to get a past paper today. Do the past paper and again get a memorandum to the past paper, because there's no use in treating a past paper. There's no use in practicing that paper but not rectifying your mistakes. So you have to get the past paper and get the memorandum to rectify your mistakes. And again, getting the memorandum to the question paper actually gives you gives you guidance on how to answer your questions. Especially in theory-based questions like life sciences, you have to know how to answer your questions. So the memorandum actually guides you on how they mark a question and on how to answer your questions. So that's how I got my distinctions, knowing how to answer my questions. From where? From the memorandums of the past papers that I was treating. And again, what I did was to improve my speed before I actually approach my final examinations. This is because during the course of the year, I would see that I'm not actually speed enough to write my final examinations, because I would not complete some of the papers. I would leave out some of the questions because I've run out of time, and it was really frustrating. So I told myself that, okay, I want 100%. I want to get good results. I want to get 100% in some of my subjects, so I have to increase my speed. So what I did was, while preparing for my final examinations, I would actually sit down. Let's say I'm treating a mathematics paper, so I would sit down and I would say, okay, mathematics is a 3-hour paper, so I want to spend my first hour doing Euclidean geometry. So I would sit down, I would treat all Euclidean geometry questions with a timer here, timed for 1 hour, and then I would see how fast I am and if I'm ready to actually answer the full paper in 3 hours. That's what I did. So treating past papers itself just increases your speed. When you treat past papers more and more often, you just become speed in, because you know how to answer the questions, you know what to expect. So also track your time, make sure that you finish the paper in time in the exam room. Yeah, that's all. And after that, I want to talk about strategies on how to approach the question. I got my distinctions because I found a strategy on how to approach my questions in the examination room. So while doing those past papers, I'll spot down the topics that I see that, okay, these topics, I'm really good at these topics. So I'll spot them down and I'll start with those topics in the exam room, so that if anything happens, I run out of time, and yeah, if anything happens, I know I've answered all questions that I know and I've left out questions that I don't know. And again, this also helps because sometimes we spend a lot of time on questions that we don't really understand, on questions that we don't know, leaving out the questions that we know, and that really cost us a lot of marks. So doing that really helped me a lot because I was able to answer questions really quickly. I started with questions that I know, answered questions that I know, and then after that, I'll spend my time on questions that I don't know. But also, for people who want to get 100%, and for subjects that I wanted to get 100%, I actually did the opposite. I started with difficult questions because I know the easy questions, I can easily tackle them in the last 5 minutes of the exam room. So I started with the difficult questions. With the high order questions, I started with those, wrote them, and then after that, I did the easy questions. That's for people who want to get 100%. But yeah, if you know that you're struggling in a subject, I was struggling in mathematics, so I had to find a strategy to get a 90% in mathematics. So if you know that you're struggling in a subject, you can just stick to the method, answer questions that you know first, and then you spend time on questions that you don't know after. In case you run out of time, you are safe. So those are the strategies that I used to actually achieve distinctions in my matric results. And again, I want to talk about having confidence in yourself. I believe in confidence. I believe that confidence is what defines me. So when I studied with confidence. When I wrote any test, any exam in high school, I wrote with confidence. As well as my final examinations, I wrote with confidence, because if you don't have confidence in yourself, you'll doubt your answers, you'll cancel out right answers and replace them with wrong answers and all of those issues. So study with confidence, have confidence in yourself, believe in yourself, So the material that I used to study for my final examinations and for my matric in general, I loved easy roads, I loved easy pathways in high school, so I didn't want anything complicated. So for life sciences, I used Mind the Gap, and there was this other book, Understanding Life Sciences. So Mind the Gap was yeah, it's the best book. I advise every matriculant out there to get Mind the Gap. It's a study guide. I advise you guys to get Mind the Gap. It's really good in explaining concepts, and it shortens concepts so you can actively recall the information in less than 30 minutes. You don't have to take long hours trying to understand the information. The textbook is also great, but textbook explains everything in details. That's why I loved detail, yeah. But imagine if I'm studying for a test in the last minute. Like, I wouldn't have time to get every detail. That's why I didn't love the textbook. It would confuse me most of the time, and I would feel like I'm not getting what I'm studying. So Mind the Gap made my life easier. Mind the Gap gave me a smooth path in life science. I used it for life science, by the way, but there's also Mind the Gap for geography. It's also good because I had a friend who did geography and she used the book. So there's also Understanding Life Science. It's a rare book, but it's a nice book also. It's also like Mind the Gap. It shortens concepts. And then for physical sciences, I really didn't use any textbook in Matric. It was because I used notes from my teacher. For physical sciences, all I had to do was to understand the concepts. There was no studying to do, honestly. It was just to understand the concepts, to understand my formulas, and start doing my past papers. That's all that I did for physical sciences. My teacher would come to class, introduce the topic, introduce the concept, introduce formulas, and then from there, I would go to past papers, start doing a lot of past papers. And that was it for physical sciences. For chemistry, you require a lot of studying. So for chemistry, I used answer series to study for chemistry. Organic chemistry, I used answer series, and yeah, all those topics in chemistry, because chemistry is actually theory. So I used answer series, and after understanding the concepts, I would also do past papers. And then for accounting, I had no textbook for accounting, honestly speaking. For accounting, my teacher would teach, and after teaching, past papers, different provinces, and I'm done for accounting. I don't remember using a textbook in accounting, honestly. It was just past papers all along, past papers with their memorandums, and rectifying my mistakes, seeing where I don't understand, and all those, yeah. And then for mathematics, I didn't use. For mathematics, I had Platinum. Which is also a textbook, and I also had an answer series. So a thing about this subject is you have to practice it almost every day to really be good. So what I did was I did past papers, and I also did textbook examples. Every textbook that I had, I made use of it, and I did the activities in the textbook. From the activities in the textbook, I could go to my past papers and do my past papers. That was my mathematics. So the textbook that I used, it was Platinum. It was honestly, I don't really remember the textbooks, but any textbook, honestly, so any additional help, yes, honestly speaking, I had additional help. So in grade 11, I got this scholarship, which is the Siandisa Foundation scholarship. Shout out to them. They really helped me a lot. So what they did is they gave me a tablet. The tablet had lessons, and then lessons of each subject that I was doing, and lessons on each topic. So what happened was, when I didn't understand whatever the teacher was saying in class, or whatever topic we on in class, I would get home and I would watch those videos. They really helped me a lot, and they made me really understand. They were very good videos. And then again, what helped me was the Mindset Learn channel on DSTV, channel 319, if I'm not mistaken. So that was the additional help that I got. And again, I would attend Saturday lessons, which were extra lessons. So guys, extra lessons are very important. So when you get the opportunity to attend extra lessons, attend extra lessons. They're very important. No matter how smart you are, attend extra lessons. They really help a lot. They also help me. The next question: how are you funding your fees at the moment? Okay, so the next question is about my funding. I'm funding my fees using the Equality Scholarship from the Wits University, and this scholarship is offered to the top 10 applicants from quintile 1 to 3 schools. So yeah, I qualified for the scholarship and I'm very, very happy. I was one of the top 10 applicants who were offered this opportunity to get the scholarship from the Vice Chancellor at the Wits University. That's how I fund my studies. How did you prepare for NBT? Guys, I didn't write any NBT. I don't want to lie. I didn't write NBT due to COVID, obviously. Yeah, due to COVID, I didn't write NBT because it wasn't a requirement anymore. So I wasn't required to write NBT. But most of my friends did write NBT online, but I didn't because it wasn't a requirement. So that I can't give the advice. I didn't study for any NBT. I didn't write any NBT. How would you describe your first year of medical school in comparison to Matric? Okay, it's very different. Very, very different. I'm experiencing a different thing. I'm experiencing something very, very different. First off, I'll talk about being independent in my studies. In Matric, yes, I was independent. I was an independent learner. I would get home each and every day. I would study on my own, and I would actually do things on my own, even though the teacher was helping. But I used to study things on my own. I used to help myself understand a lot of concepts. I was an independent learner. But honestly speaking, I was getting a push from my teachers. No matter how independent I was getting that push from my teachers. Though every time I missed an assignment, they would make sure I submit it. They would push me to do my schoolwork. Actually, no matter how independent I was, they would push me each and every chance they get. So what happened is varsity, there's no such. You're on your own. Actually, your independency, this is where you have to prove, Guti, I'm very independent. This is where you have to prove yourself that I'm a very independent. Self-discipline. So most of my classes are online this year, and what I've learned is that self-discipline is the key. You have to be disciplined in order to perform good in your studies. Yes, I was disciplined in high school, but also I had my parents at home. Sometimes when I'm late, they would wake up. My teachers, when I didn't submit an assignment, where is your assignment? When I didn't do this, please do this. Like I was disciplined, but I also had a push from my parents, push from my teachers, and yeah. So this year I have no one. There's no push. So you have to be disciplined in order to perform really great. Discipline is actually key, and we don't really consider that. And this actually is very difficult because we're doing online learning. So I can wake up at any time. If I don't want to attend a class, I can bunk the class. So I have to be disciplined in order to perform good. I have to be disciplined in order to attend my classes, to do my tutorials, to do my assignments, to submit on time, and yeah. So when I'm comparing my first year medical school with my Matric year, I spoke about independency and I spoke about discipline. So I would like to speak about the workload. Honestly, the workload is almost similar. Workload in Matric was very, very, very tiring, and also first year medical school, the workload is a lot. That's why you require a lot of discipline and you require a lot of independency in order to overcome all this. So I advise each and every learner, please learn discipline. Matric learner, I mean to say, each and every Matric learner, please learn self-discipline. Please learn independency while you're still in Matric, because it becomes difficult to start learning them when you get to varsity, especially when you're going to be a medical student. It requires a lot of self-discipline. The workload is a lot. So since the Matric workload is also a lot, you can try to learn self-discipline, develop the habit of self-discipline, and I think you're gonna be okay. List the modules in your first year of medical school. Okay, so I am currently doing physics, chemistry, apes, which is biology, LN, which is health system dynamics, HSD, and then also psychology and sociology. And I also did first aid and computer literacy. So sociology and psychology are half-year modules, and then chemistry, physics, aids, and HSD are full-year modules. Next question says advice on how to pass each module in first year. Okay, this is what I am doing to pass each module this year. So I'll start with physics. With physics, I make sure I watch my lectures because the lectures are not that long, and I'm doing online learning, so I make sure I watch my lectures. Then after lectures, if I don't understand anything, I go to YouTube because YouTube is very helpful. So the YouTube channels that I use are the Organic Chemistry Tutor and Khan Academy. So if I don't understand the concepts, I go straight to Khan Academy or the Organic Chemistry Tutor, and then after that I do my tutorials because we do get tutorials each week depending on the topic. So I do my tutorials. And another thing about physics is every Friday we get a weekly tutorial test. So this actually pushes me to do my lectures during the week and to keep up to date with my tutorials so that I can do well in my tutorial test. So the advice that I can give, I would say do your tutorials, watch your lectures, be up to date with your lectures. They are not long, and if you don't understand, YouTube. That's physics. Okay, and then moving on to the next module, chemistry. Okay, chemistry, it's just the same with physics. So what I do with chemistry is I watch my lectures, I take notes, and then if I don't understand anything, YouTube is also helpful. So I also use the Organic Chemistry Tutor and Khan Academy for chemistry. So yeah, chemistry and physics, the difference is that chemistry we don't get weekly tutorials, so you have to be careful. You have to do your work because we only write block tests, and we get assignments, mastering chemistry assignments that we do, but also we don't get those assignments often. So you have to make sure you do your lectures to prepare for your block test. Okay, moving on to the next module, apes. Apes is a lot of work. Apes is a lot, but that doesn't mean it's difficult. So apes is I don't know if I should say it's a build up, or should I say a continuation, or I can't find the right word to use, but apes is high school life sciences. We still do digestive systems, urinary systems, circulatory system. We did cell biology, cellular respiration, everything we did in high school life sciences. High school life sciences is AIDS, so it's a lot of work. So what you can do, you can take notes. If you prefer taking notes, you can take notes, but make sure you take notes accordingly. So don't copy your lecture slides, because that's the mistake that I was doing in block 1. I was studying, I was taking notes, but I realized that this is wasting my time because I'm actually copying the lecture slides. So when taking notes, make sure you take notes in a way that you can understand your notes when you're doing revision. I'm not sure if you get my point. Don't copy the lecture slides, because either way, even when you're doing revision, you can still access the lecture slides. They're still there on your laptop. They're still there on whatever device you're using. So be wise on how you take your notes. I prefer making summaries. So I prefer, let's say I'm studying, I'm watching my lectures. I watch my lectures, I open the textbook, and then I make summaries after I've studied. I make summaries of the whole topic, and in that way, when I'm doing revision, I can go back to the summary, read the summary, and then yeah, it actually helps, because even though I'm doing revision, I can still go back and access my lecture slides. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't take notes. You can take notes if you are not taking person, just that be careful on how you take notes, because sometimes note taking wastes time. So with AIDS, how I study for AIDS, since okay, I still use the method that I used in high school, which is opening the textbook, looking at my lecture slides, and writing down questions, turning my lecture slides and my notes or textbook content into questions. And then when I'm done, I can close my laptop, I can close my textbook and then start answering those questions. That's what I was doing in high school, and I'm continuing with this study strategy because it works for me. So concerning note taking, I only make summaries. Honestly, I only make summaries. I don't really take notes. And with apes, again, we don't get weekly tutorials, so you have to make sure you do your work. You have to make, because apes is a lot. You can be 2 weeks behind and realize that you have 2 topics to cover, and there are a lot of information. So imagine if you're 3 weeks behind, that makes 3 topics. Then imagine if you're 5 weeks behind, that's a lot of work, and you can't cover that work the day before the exam or the day before the test. So make sure you do your lectures, make sure you write your notes, you make summaries, and use Quizlet. Quizlet it's a very important app. I advise you to use Quizlet. So yeah, that's all for 8. Next it's Ellen HSD. HSD, guys. HSD. It's not a lot of work, but you can easily neglect it. It's a module that you can easily forget. You can forget, Guti, I'm doing HSD. We can have about 7 lectures in a block. That's how, it's not a lot of work. Thing is, when they test us with work from the beginning of the year until what you are doing currently. So that's why it's easy to forget the content. So you have to make sure you visit it often. You have to make sure you watch your lecture slides, and also doing revision from the previous lecture slides, because previous topics, because Ellen, we are tested on everything we've been doing throughout the year. Unlike AIDS, chemistry, they only give us particular topics. Okay, this test will be based on topic this and this and this. So I spoke about physics, I spoke about chemistry, I spoke about HSD, which is LN, I spoke about apes, which is biology. So these 4 modules are full year modules. I've been doing these modules from the beginning of the year, so they are full year modules. And then now I want to talk about psychology and sociology. So I did psychology block 1 and block 2, which is the first semester, and then now I'm doing sociology. So that these 2 are half year modules. So with psychology and sociology, both of them, they are essays to write. Essays, not an essay, essays to write. So psychology does have a textbook, sociology doesn't have a textbook. So with psychology, psychology is a pretty easy module too. How they test the course is really easy. So just make sure you know your work. Okay, and then lastly, sociology. Sociology, there are essays to write also. I just wrote my 3rd essay now. So sociology, we don't have a textbook. There are a lot of readings to do, so make sure you do your readings, and make sure when you write your essay, don't just write. You should relate whatever you're writing to your readings in order to maximize your marks. I think that's sociology. Yeah, there are readings to do. Just do your reading. Okay, moving on to the next question. What were the challenges you had to face and overcome in Matric? Going back to Matric, I did my Matric last year. So last year was not a year. It was not a year for me, honestly. And also because I was looking forward to my Matric year, and then COVID happened. So we had to stay at home for like, I don't know, was it 2 months, or yeah, during the lockdown period. So we went home in March, and then I think we went back to school around June or July. I don't remember very well, but there was a break, and a long break. So that was my first challenge, obviously, because Matric is a lot of work, and you have to make sure you are prepared for your final examinations. And there were also rumors that we're not gonna write our final examinations and all. I was just so stressed. So that was the first challenge, because it affected my year ahead when I went back to school. So what happened was, okay, we went it was locked down and everything, and then we went home, and we stayed at home for that period. And then when we went back to school, we had to cover work for that period, because our final examination was going to contain all the content. So we had to cover a lot of things in a short period of time. That was my challenge, because I'm not a fast learner, honestly speaking. I'm not that quick, so I need time to know content. Yes, the teacher can teach now and then move on to the next topic, but I also need my own time to process the whole thing and be ready for my examinations. So that was a challenge for me because everything was fast. We were going through topics so quickly so we can finish and write our trial examinations. So that was my first challenge, actually. Lockdown, COVID was my first challenge. And then challenge number 2 is I got COVID in Matric. So what happened was when we went back to school, from the lockdown, I got COVID. Yeah, I got COVID. It's a long story of how I got COVID and the whole thingy, but I got COVID. So I had to go stay at home while other learners went back to school because I have COVID. That was my second challenge, honestly. The lockdown was already a challenge because I have to stay at home, and processing and catching up with my schoolwork is going to be hard because I'm going to have a short period of time. Secondly, I have to stay at home because I have COVID while other learners are going to school. That was my second challenge, honestly. It was the worst. I was going through the most. So yeah, what happened is I went back to school, obviously, and when I got back to school, they did calculus. Imagine, calculus is a very difficult chapter, and worst part is not very difficult, but it's challenging because it's a chapter that is introduced in Matric. So we didn't do calculus in grade 11. So they introduced calculus. They were doing calculus. I was there confused. I had to learn calculus on my own, honestly, because my teacher did help me, but it was hard for me to catch up with them because they moved on to the next topic, and I'm still on calculus trying to figure my way out. It's a new topic for me. Okay, so another challenge that I had to overcome in Matric was pressure. Pressure was a very huge challenge that I had to overcome, honestly, because I was always a top student from lower grades. I was always a top student. Grade 8, I was number 1 in the whole district. I was a top achiever. So when I got to Matric, a lot was just happening, honestly, and I thought at some point I thought I wouldn't make it. So now the pressure is building up because I can't be doing well in lower grades and then doing badly in Matric, or also so it wouldn't make sense. I wanted to make myself proud. I wanted to do even better than what I was doing in my lower grades. That was always the goal in grade 11. I was like, Matric, I'm aiming for 90s. That was my goal in grade 11 because so now this challenge is me getting COVID, the lockdown now, because I know myself, I'm a slow learner. I'm not a slow learner, but I'm not quick. So now, where would I get the time to know my work? Because I want those 90s. When will I get the time to know my work? So it was a huge challenge, honestly. But the pressure was a lot. I got pressure from a lot of people, and also by people I mean my parents, I mean my teachers, my school principal, and also a lot of pressure from myself. I was giving myself a lot of pressure. Though at some point I thought I wouldn't make it. I thought I wasn't coping because a lot was just happening, and I thought I don't know anything. I thought I don't know my schoolwork. It was just a mess. So I think that's all. Okay, what were your first year medical school challenges that you'd want someone to be aware of? My first year medical school challenges that I would want someone to be aware of, regarding my academics, I only have one challenge, which is studying. Be aware of how you study, be aware of how you make your notes and everything. And every module has its own strategy. Honestly speaking, every module has its own strategy. So what happened was, my challenge was when I was making notes, I was just copying my lecture slides. I only realized this in block 2, what I'm doing is not okay because I'm actually wasting my time. I was just copying my lecture slides, and my lecture slides are gonna be there for like the rest of the year. I think they are not going anywhere. So why am I copying my lecture slides? They're gonna be there for the rest of the blog, if not the year. The whole blog, the lecture slides will be there. If I want them, I can just open them. So that was my challenge. I was just copying them, I don't know why. yeah, studying was a challenge in block one actually, but then I managed to find a good strategy, making summaries. I was no longer copying my lecture slides in block two and the rest of the blocks, but I was just making summaries of what I've studied. And yeah, I learned that every module has its own study strategy. Yeah, so for chemistry I'll do my tutorials, YouTube, and also for physics tutorials, YouTube. Then for apes, making summaries and actually making quizzes for myself according to my notes and my textbook and my lecture slides, and yeah, using Quizlet. That's what I did. That was a challenge. Studying block one, honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know, because studying was actually a challenge for me. Another challenge is catching up with the workload. So medical school is a lot. Yeah, first year was a lot for me, especially in block one, because everything was just moving too fast. I feel like everything is moving too fast. Physics, one topic 1 week. Also apes, one topic 1 week or 2 weeks sometimes. And you find that it's a lot of content. There are a lot of things that you need to know. So like that was my challenge, keeping up with the workload. I felt like I don't have enough time in a day, and I felt like everything was just moving too fast. Now I'm behind and everything. That was a challenge. So learn good time management skills. No way. Morning when I wake up, I write 3 most important tasks that I have to do for the day. That doesn't mean I'm going to do those 3 things only for the day, but they are the most important tasks. I can't go through the day without, I have to do those tasks, 3 most important tasks of the day. Then after I'm done with those tasks, I can do other things, other tasks. So you have to know your priorities. You have to know what you have to do for the day, and then planning is very, very important. And another challenge that you need to be aware of in medical school is developing good habits, because the workload is a lot. So develop good habits, like waking up early enough to attend your lectures, attend your classes, attend your live sessions that you have for the day, and study, and also go through your assignments and everything. You have to wake up early enough, and you have to know how to develop good habits. Okay, last question. What keeps you going when the road gets rough? What keeps me going when the road gets rough? God. That's what keeps me going when the road gets rough. Believing in God, and believing that whatever is happening now is happening for a reason, and that I can still pull through. So just believing in God, and that God has everything sorted out for me, keeps me going. Honestly, prayer, and secondly, another thing that keeps me going is my achievements. Honestly, all that I've achieved, my matric results, everything that I've achieved, high school or varsity, everything that I have achieved in life keeps me going, because it actually reminds me of what I'm capable of doing, no matter how hard it is. But I once achieved this, so I still can do it. I was once an academically excellent learner, so no matter how much I'm failing now, I'm still good. I know I can still get those distinctions. That's what keeps me going, and it actually makes me make me study even more harder, because I know that okay, I'm a distinction person. I have to get those distinctions. So what's happening now is not me. It's totally not me. It's not me. I don't know the person I am right now, but yeah, that's what keeps me going. And again, motivation from the people around me honestly keep me going. My parents. That was the last question actually. So thank you very much, whoever's watching this. Thank you very much. It really means a lot. You can follow me on Instagram at Penelope. Toodles.
Our greatest glory is never in falling, but in rising every time we fall. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel to get more videos like these. Thank you to the new subscribers, very much appreciated.